From the Seventh-day Adventist Church. This is an urgent message, a very urgent message to other Christian believers who are not Seventh-day Adventists in relation to the 70-week prophecy or 490-year prophecy of Daniel 9:24-27. It says, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon the holy city to finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring an everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. Know therefore, understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself and the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with the flood. Unto the end of the war desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspring of abominations he shall make it desolate, even unto the consummation. He that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So, beloved, in the Christian church, other Christian denominations like Baptists, Lutheran, Methodist, Episcopalians, and Jews, other religions like Jews, this prophecy determines 70 weeks. From 457 BC, this prophecy starts off in 457 BC. In a very unknown book in the Old Testament, right next to Nehemiah, called Ezra. Ezra chapter 6 and verse 14 says, and the elders of the Jews builded, and they prospered through the prophesying of Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the son of Iddo, and they builded and finished it according to the commandment of the God of Israel, and according to the commandment of Cyrus and Darius and Artaxerxes king of Persia. That was the timing of the rebuilding of Jerusalem. The third decree came by Artaxerxes in 457 BC, the fall of 457 BC, beloved. Now, that started the 70-week prophecy, or 490-year prophecy, from 457 BC to the year 1844, to the year 34 AD. That's 70 weeks, 490 years. That 7 weeks was cut off for the Jewish nation. So you have 2,300 days found in Daniel 8:14 from 457 BC to October 22, 1844 AD. And you have 7 weeks of 490 years at the beginning of that prophecy from 457 BC to 8034 AD. If you go into Daniel 9:24-27, it says, the Messiah, the Prince, will be cut off in the midst of the week. Cut off means that Jesus Christ died in 8031 AD as our suffering servant. Isaiah 53 talks about that. He was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace upon his shoulders, and by his stripes we are healed. Galatians 4:4 brings this point out more clearly about how Jesus Christ had to come as our suffering servant. It says, but when the fullness of time was come, God sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under law. That's why Daniel 9:24-27 says that they shall anoint the most holy. They anointed him by baptism. John the Baptist baptized Jesus Christ in AD 27. That's how he knew his time had come to get baptized for his mission, Jesus Christ. So, beloved, 7 weeks was cut off for the Jewish nation. They did not fulfill their mission. They crucified the Lord in 831 and stoned Stephen in 834. Okay? That's the prophecy of the 7-week prophecy, or 490-year prophecy. 483 years was from 8027 to 8031. That last week was from 8027 to 8034. That's weeks of years. So 3.5 years from AD 27 to AD 31, and 3.5 years from AD 31 to AD 34. Okay? And so 1 Peter brings this point out more clearly. 1 Peter is right next to Hebrews in the New Testament. Second Peter 1, verse 19. We have a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto you do well, as you take heed as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, and the day dawn and day star rise in your hearts, knowing this, that no prophecy of the scriptures of any private interpretation. The prophecy came not in the old time of the will of man, but the holy men of God spake as moved by the Holy Ghost. So prophecy must be interpreted according to a line upon line approach, a proof text method, here a little and there a little, and days in prophecy must be interpreted according to a day for year principle. Where do we find day for year principle? We find day for year principle over here in Numbers 14:34. After the number of the days in which you searched out the land, you in 40 days, each day for a year, shall ye bear your iniquities. Shall ye bear your iniquities even 40 years, and ye shall know my breach of promise. Numbers 14:34 and Ezekiel 4:6. Ezekiel 4:6 talks about day for year principles. Ezekiel 4 verse 6 says, it says, and when ye have accomplished them, lie again on thy right side, and thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah 40 days. I have appointed thee each day for a year. So, beloved, a day equals a year in prophecy. So that proves to us that there's not going to be a left behind experience in which in the last days people whisked off to heaven when they're in cars or in planes or in gas stations or homes, and people be left behind looking where their loved ones are at, and be given 1,000 extra years longer, a millennium, to get it right with God. That's not true. That's a false doctrine that comes from the apostate Protestant world. And they use a Jesuit teaching called from Reverend Ferreira, is called gap theory, where they take 7 weeks of years from the end, from AD 22 to AD 34, they tie to the end of the tribulation, and they falsely interpret that prophecy. So below, continue to study your Bibles and see the Word of God teach about a 7-week prophecy, AD 27 to AD 34, and from 457 BC to AD 34, and the 20th prophecy from 457 BC to 1844 AD. It's 2,300 years. Okay? So continue to study for yourself, beloved. God bless you. Maranatha.